Good evening, everybody. It is Friday, November 1st. Wow, look at us. Already at the end of the year, only 3 days from the election. Welcome to the Elena Barbera Show. I'm so glad to be here tonight. I have a special guest that I'm going to bring right in for you. This is Sheriff Richard Mack, who is the former sheriff of Graham County in Arizona, and he is known for a lot of things. Not the least of which is he is the first sheriff in United States history to sue the federal government. He sued the Clinton administration and went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and he won in a major victory for states' rights. But maybe we'll have time to talk about that. There's so much that we're going to get into. Let me bring him up right now. Hello, Sheriff Mack. So happy to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. And yes, the lawsuit is my calling card issue. I actually sued the Clintons and won and lived to tell about it.
The live to tell about it part is actually the most unbelievable.
Yeah, that's the miracle. So it happened in the 90s, and the victory happened June 27, 1997, written by Justice Scalia. If anybody wants to see the case, you can get it at my website in this little booklet. I put all the highlights, all the best stuff in this booklet. It fits in your pocket. It's a pocket-sized booklet. It's only 16 pages long. You can literally read this in 10 minutes, but I highly recommend that you really study it and look it over. It's $2 for one or $3 for $5. Get as many as you can and pass these around to local officials and to activists and anybody else who needs to know that, quote, this is from the decision. We have held, however, that state legislatures are not subject to federal direction. And he quotes the Federalist Paper 51 on this one. Hence, a double security arises to the rights of the people. The different governments will control each other. So it's the most powerful 10th Amendment decision in the history of America. It's the only time sheriffs ever sued the federal government. And not only that, we won. And so I'll be eternally grateful for the 6 sheriffs that joined me in this lawsuit and made this miracle happen.
Wow. And so only 6 of you out of something like 3,500, is it?
It's 3,086 sheriffs.
Okay. And 6 of you were the only ones who stood up for the entire...
6 joined me, so it was 7 of us. The magnificent 7.
So only 7 of you had the chutzpah, if you will, to stand up to the federal government. And I understand it takes a lot, but I find that to be most surprising because, I've heard you talk about it, and it seems like a lot of what you talk about, other than God and family being the most important things to you, from what I see, is the Constitution and making sure that people are educated on it and support it. And so when you have another, almost 3,000 sheriffs who took an oath to protect the Constitution, not standing beside you when you were fighting for that, what was that like?
Well, it was a lot of pressure. It was a roller coaster ride. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of excitement, a lot of sometimes feeling like you're going to throw up. But the merry-go-round doesn't really go anywhere. And so I prefer the roller coaster style of life, and little risk, little gain. And we put our jobs on the line, and still my wife and I worked the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association together. We have some other couple of other staff that work part-time and some volunteers. But we really need to be funded. We really need more help. We really need people joining our CSPOA posse. People of America, you've got to be part of the solution. And the CSPOA offers a peaceful and effective solution for taking our country back. If Kamala Harris becomes the next president of the United States, we're going to need this movement, and we're going to need constitutional sheriffs more than at any time in the history of our country.
Absolutely. What is that the basic mission of the organization?
It's to restore our Constitution as the supreme law of the land and take America back county by county.
Honestly, that makes my heart skip a beat because I'm really troubled by how little the average American knows about the Constitution and their own rights. I'm
Yeah,
troubled by how much, our constitutional rights are being trampled.
yeah.
Once you're awake to it, you see it everywhere.
Well,
At every turn in the news, they're coming after us.
oh, I know. Yeah, and I want to remind everybody that the Constitution delegates 5 law enforcement powers to the federal government. 5. It's not 0, it's almost 0, but they only get those 5 because if you read the 10th Amendment, the powers not delegated to them remain with the states or the people. So they don't get to aggrandize or add powers to themselves. And they've done that a lot, and it's completely illegal. But let me go over the 5 law enforcement powers that were lawfully delegated to them. 1, treason. Don't you wish they investigate treason? 2, counterfeiting. 3, felonies committed on the high seas or piracies.
Okay.
And 4, this is from Article 4, Section 4, they are required by law, quote, shall protect our borders from invasion. And then 5 is violations of treaties. Folks, the federal government is completely out of control. Our lawsuit was known as the overreach case, the anti-commandeering case. In other words, they don't get to do whatever they want. And this case makes that very clear. Quote, but the Constitution protects us from our own best intentions and also protects us from, quote, the crisis of the day. Folks, you want to read every single page of this because it reinforces everything we believe about state sovereignty and about federalism and about the federal government only has discrete and enumerated powers, but it's up to the states and the rest of us to keep them that way. The different governments will control each other. Well, that's what we're supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to do. And the ultimate power in your county is your sheriff. Why? Because he's the only elected law enforcement officer in your county and in this country. He reports only to you, and I highly recommend each of you get a hold of your sheriff and ask him if he has a posse and that you would like to join it and help in any way you can. If he doesn't have a posse, you need to help start forming one. Because folks,
what is a posse?
bad times are coming.
The average person doesn't know.
If you think it's been bad now,
yeah, sorry.
The
average person doesn't know what you mean by sheriff's posse. That sounds like Wild West stuff to a modern American. What do you mean? And I mean it. You're talking to, people
it's
out
no
here
different.
that aren't.
It's no different now than it was then. It's no different. The sheriff needs help. He calls out the posse, the people. And so it's not a problem. That's not a bad word. It's not dangerous. And it helps, and it can be utilized however the sheriff wants. Whether you're helping with communications or just traffic control or just standing ready or helping people in an emergency, going out and checking on the elderly and identifying those who need help. I'm not saying that you're going to go out there and start arresting everybody or shooting everybody. In fact, I hope we never have to do that.
Yeah,
but folks, some violent times are coming, and they're coming soon.
They're coming as early as next week. I don't think.
That's correct.
I think the biggest surprise of the election would be if it goes off peacefully. That would be a shocker.
Exactly correct. Yes.
Right. Yeah. What do you see as the biggest issue while we're on the election?
Well, are you talking about the biggest issue obviously is one, abortion is going to be out of control if Kamala gets in. Spending will be even worse, which will cause more inflation and will bankrupt us. America's already bankrupt. Our government's already bankrupt.
Yes.
It's just a matter of time when it totally implodes. And that's going to happen. And that's going to kick off very, very rough economic times. And will have a ripple effect all across the country to the grid and power and violence. But the number one thing is we've got to secure our elections and secure our border. If we don't do those two things, then it really doesn't, the rest of it really doesn't matter too much.
Yeah. No, I actually completely agree with you. Although it's hard to, I don't think anybody except for the left. So the left, easily, you ask them what the issue is, it's all about abortion.
Abortion,
Everyone on
abortion.
the right, you ask them what the biggest issue is, and it's like, well, I got a top five, and they're all massive. They're
Yeah.
all
Most
tremendously
of it boils
dangerous.
down to corruption. It boils down to corruption. And this corrupt government has created election fraud, and it has created the open borders and allowed all of our enemy countries have sent the terrorists are here, the cartels are here, the Russian and Chinese dissidents are here, and you put all them together, and what do you got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chaos. We've got chaos. And, what scares me is the young people who have been trained to hate this country, who haven't been trained to even understand, never mind love the Constitution,
Yeah.
the way older people do. And have been articles recently in the New York Times, for example, like maybe it's time to give the Constitution a second look, as if
Oh, wow.
yeah, as if they may have gotten it wrong. So they're planting those seeds now. So first it's hate each other, then it's hate your family. Then the ads came out with women. Oh, you don't just lie to your husband about how you voted, breaking down the family. And now we're going to start hating on teaching. We're going to flat out hate the Constitution, hate borders. So they're planting all these wild and crazy seeds, and we're seeing that, the weeds that are growing from it.
Yeah.
What do you see as, all right, how do you think it's possible to eliminate the corruption and really right the ship?
It is, if we do it county by county. Focus on the county. Right the ship in your county. We can make, and the sheriffs can make, the federal government irrelevant in our counties. We do, the sheriff is the ultimate check and balance on overreach and out of control government. And he makes sure that these bureaucrats that come into his county report to him first. And if they don't, then he's going to come down on them. And that's a rule and a protocol that many sheriffs are already doing. And Sheriff Dave Mattis started it in Bighorn County, Wyoming, back in the 90s. And it just helps everybody. If they come in, they don't know, half the time they don't even know where they're going, and a fourth of the time they go to the wrong home and they shoot the dog or shoot the people who didn't even get involved. And so the federal government half the time doesn't even know what they're doing. And if the sheriff is really going to protect his citizens, he's got to make sure that the federal government is kept in check, because they are, without any question, the federal government is the greatest threat to our God-given constitutional American liberty.
Yes, but that wasn't their intended effect, was it?
No.
No, not at all. Okay, so I'm so happy with this conversation, and I hope there are people out there listening who are like me and thinking, I really don't think about my sheriff very often.
Yeah, it's time.
And
it's time now. Yeah.
It's time. And I recently, in the recent election, have been hearing about my sheriff, Wayne Ivey, here in Florida, and hearing really good things about him. And I'm realizing now that I need to give him a call. I need to
Sheriff Ivey of Brevard County is a good friend. He's a good man. And I hope that everybody is working with him in his county to erect the barriers, as Madison expressed it, erect the barriers against the encroachments of the national authority. That's our job. That's what we promised to do. And all we need to make this happen is for all the sheriffs to do one simple thing: keep their word to uphold and defend the Constitution. That's it. He made the promise to every one of his citizens when he took his job. It's time we relied on the sheriff to keep his word.
All right. I'm going to do a lot more thinking about this and a lot more investigating into how everyday Americans can get involved in their own counties with their own sheriffs. And I'm going to talk about it publicly more. You really got me. You got me onto something here. I have a question for you that, if we could shift gears a little bit. My issue that I work on a lot is exposing and trying to help people wake up to the fact that there's pornography in our schools.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
you know about this. I mean, of course.
Yes.
Now, your state, Arizona, does not have, in three-quarters of states, I should say, there's an obscenity exemption statute, which makes it okay to show pornography to children in libraries and schools. So these exemptions are, criminal exemptions. But Arizona doesn't have one of those. It doesn't have a criminal exemption. So it technically is illegal to show this to children in schools and libraries. Yet Arizona schools and libraries are riddled with it. In Humboldt, Mingus Union, Prescott, what is it, Seligman, and Tucson school districts alone. Those are the only ones that we've looked into yet. The rest of them still need time. There is some of the filthiest literature and pornography that I wouldn't even read it to you just out of respect. I do read it publicly. I do read it publicly a lot. We don't know
Yeah.
each other well enough. It's weird. So I'm going to
It's okay.
spare you. I'm
I'm
going to
used
spare
to
you.
it.
But,
I yeah,
is that
I know
something a
exactly
sheriff?
what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and it is pathetic, and it's really in line with what they're trying to do, and that when the school boards told the parents, it's none of your business what we do at the school, and
Yeah.
folks, that is an absolute lie. Get your kids out of public schools, get them in a charter school. It's just as expensive, just as much a cost to you as it is with those public schools. They do not give a damn about what your kids do in their schools. And they think they're the boss of your kids. They think they own your kids. And get them out of there. Get them out of the public schools. I used to teach at a charter school. They do not allow that stuff. And
Well,
it's
that's good.
you've got to make some big decisions about really protecting your children. It's not going to happen in a public school.
Listen, I am all for if everybody pulls their kids from the schools, the funding will collapse. They
That's
will have
right.
no choice but either to disappear or get their act or clean up their act.
Right.
But we're in a position where everybody isn't on board with that yet for many different reasons,
Yeah.
either ideologically or financially. In states where there's no exemption, and it is a literal crime to show this to children, is there a place for a sheriff in that fight?
Yeah, I think there is for all law enforcement officials. Yes, absolutely. If a sheriff looks at this, and there's already decency laws around, and as you mentioned, there's decency laws in Arizona, and especially for children. And so sometimes a sheriff just has to grab the bull by the horn, and absolutely he should get involved in this. And if nothing else, then get some of that stuff out of the library and then go show it to the school board and tell them you're actually supporting stuff like this. And the sheriff makes that a point to make this a key public issue. I guarantee you, it will not continue as is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Getting the sheriff to the school board meeting is not something I had thought of. And I'm gonna talk to some people around the country and let's see if we can get that going and give it a try. And if we do, I'm gonna call you and tell you how it went.
Please do. Let me know how it goes, and check with Sheriff Ivy and ask him about it.
Yeah, we've got it right here in our. Maybe I'll ask Sheriff Ivy. We just put it out in public that now I'm going to put my sheriff on the spot, but we'll see what
he'll be okay with it. He's a good man. He knows what to do.
Yeah, he's busy this week. He's running unopposed, but he's got an election on Tuesday to handle to celebrate. I assume. I could talk to you all day. We have a lot more to talk about. And I have about a dozen things on my paper here, so we'll do it.
Well, I promise I'll come back another time. I appreciate you keeping me a short amount tonight. I've got to go to my nephew's ball game. I've told him all year long that I'd be going. I haven't been to a single one. I've been traveling so much and working so much. And last night I told him, okay, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there tomorrow night.
I want you there too. It's crucial.
Almost all the family's going, and it should be a good time. And he's such a good ball player. He's such a key component of their defense. He starts at free safety, and he's such a good kid too.
Aw. I can tell you love them. All right. Well,
Oh, yeah.
where do people find you? Let them know one more time at the end here before you go.
Folks, get this amazing miracle at cspoa.org. CISPOA, cspoa.org. Make a donation, become a member of our posse, and let's take back America. Be part of the solution and be part of the holy cause of liberty. Join us, let's unite, and let's take America back.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sheriff Mack. So great to have you.
We'll see you soon. Thanks so much. Look forward to doing it after the election if we can.
Absolutely. All right. Sheriff Mack is gone. He disappeared. Oh, that was awesome. I could have talked to him all night long. I have 100 more questions. Meeting people who understand and love and respect and have personally upheld the Constitution is really inspiring for me, because we see our First and Second Amendment rights mostly being just overrun, and he fought for 10th Amendment rights, which is, federal overreach into state business. We see that happening every single day. I mean, federal government has just become this large, monstrous machine of corruption and power, and we're paying for it. I encourage anybody listening, if you don't know who your sheriff is, he's right. At a minimum, go find your sheriff's Facebook page and website and start following them and seeing what's going on. And there is probably a way that you can get involved. I want to be part of my sheriff's posse. I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to call him and be like, what can I do? And he said, it could be communications. Maybe I could be, Sheriff Wayne Ivy's news. I'm sure he's got somebody for that. But, when they're out sick or when he needs special posse treatment. That was a weird thing to say. I don't know why I said that. I didn't mean anything by that. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to change the subject from sheriffs. I don't even know what my sheriff looks like. I couldn't pick him out of a lineup. So that's the point, is we're not engaged with the people who actually have influence and power to protect not only our safety, but our rights. Get to know your sheriff. Figure it out. I assume it's a dude. Might be a woman. Just shifting gears a little bit, a tiny little bit of things that are going around in the election is this ad commercial that Julia Roberts narrated for Kamala Harris. Okay, another celebrity bites the dust. The list is like a mile long now of celebrities whose faces and voices I can't even stand anymore. Because if you're for the Kamala communism, you're for World War III, you're for big pharma, big food, like you're for just, abortion up to birth, and you're for everything that Kamala stands for, free everything. Yeah, I just cannot get behind you. If you're for a candidate who didn't receive a single primary vote to get to the position of presidential candidate, and then you're going to cry at me about protecting democracy, give me a break. Most of these celebrities were hanging out at Diddy parties, diddling little kids. That's why they're supporting her. J-Lo today is out there like, all dressed up, trying to look absolutely perfect. She looks gorgeous. I mean, she does. She looks great. But she, to me, is the devil. She was, Little Miss Diddy party, and now she had to come out for Kamala. Not because she's some great political mind that we should be listening to. Give me a break, J-Lo. She's still Jenny from the block, if you ask me. She should go back to the block, if you ask me. It's where she belongs. Not whacking out my Twitter feed with her nonsense about how great Kamala is. Anyway, Julia Roberts, she puts out this ad. She narrates this ad, and you know what? I'll just show it to you. What am I talking for? Here we go. It's quick.
Your turn, honey.
In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want, and no one will ever know.
Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
Ugh. Just, ugh, right? Everything about that just makes my skin crawl. I mean, first of all, in the one place in America where a woman still has the right to choose. Oh, shut up. Could women have it any better than America? This is the easiest life any woman in history has ever lived. Even the poorest women in America have their nails done. Like, get bent, Julia. I wonder if she recorded that from one of her villas in Italy or a yacht somewhere, or while she was on a private jet. Get lost. You're going to tell me about anything. Anyway, okay. Then you have the man the husband, who they make look like a total dork doofus, like an imbecile who doesn't know anything, about anything. And that's why he's voting for Trump, because he's a nitwit. And then you got the woman who now they're making it the happy music and everything. The best thing you can do is lie to your husband. Oh, isn't that good for marriage? What is wrong with these people? This is modern feminism. It's got its hands all over it. They're not even trying to hide it. Their agenda to destroy marriage, destroy the family unit, keep separating us as much as they can. The race thing, that Kamala's division by race failed. They tried to get all the Puerto Ricans after the garbage joke, and some of them spoke out, but most of them were like, no, we're not morons. We're voting for Trump. And then the blacks are like, yeah, we're not morons. We're voting for Trump. Or a lot of them have laughed and done that. So the race thing was failing for her. The Indians are like, yeah. And then, so they're like, oh, let's go back to sexism. Let's go back to toxic masculinity. Let's try that again at the last minute. And this is the masterpiece that they came up with. But all they really want to do is keep us divided and angry, destroy the family, make men look like doofus dummies. And they did that in that ad. I just can't imagine that ad won anybody over. Like, any woman who was going to vote for Trump now turned around and was like, you know what? I'm going to vote for Kamala now. I'm going to have a secret, and I'm going to wink at the woman in the booth next to me. Please. I voted, what was it today? No, it was today Friday. I voted yesterday morning. And there's another commercial where one of the girls looks at the other and she goes, like, she mouths it. And she goes, like they had their own little inside secret. Like, if somebody did that while I was voting, I would just flip the whole booth. Get bent, you psycho. I'd say, no, Trump, because I'm not a freaking moron. Anyway, guys, that's it for me tonight. I did not even check the comments. I was so enamored with all the things that Sheriff Mack was telling me that I didn't even see what you guys are up to in the comments. Yeah, bye, Julia. That's right. Alexandra Levine, who also has a show on the Patriots Prayer Network. Thank you for being here tonight. CSPOA.org. That's Sheriff Mack's organization that he told you about. And it's also on the Patriots Prayer channel in Rumble, in the description on this video. The link to that organization is in there. Hello, Lorraine. Lorraine's always coming to hang out. 2 Point Podcast wants a sheriff's department that doesn't accept federal grant money. That's part of the problem, isn't it? Isn't it? We should be operating without federal dollars, right? I mean, that's a big statement that I haven't really thought through yet. Let me think it through. I shouldn't say things in public without thinking them through, right? This is what it's like sitting at my kitchen table. I just say things. But what do we really need? Money from them? I mean, if we have our own taxes, we can operate our own schools, our own police forces, our own fire departments, do our own roads. Whatever little taxes we pay them should pay for keeping the border safe and having a military and whatever other absolutely essential things that the federal government should be doing. Essential things like, telling social media to suppress conservative voices, things like that. Inviting trannies to the White House lawn on Easter, things like that. Anyway, guys, all right, thanks for coming in. I have had a lot of fun tonight. I will see you again right here next week on the PPN, my Friday night show. Do me a favor, sub, like, share if you had a good time tonight, and check out Sheriff Mack, man. He's a cool guy, smart man, loves his country. We all need a little more of that. God bless you, and God bless America.